Hi, this is good. Paul, seriously. Amazing. Amazing. You're amazing. Amazing. Keep doing it. Keep going. Ooh, that gave me
Physical
chills.
exercise
Tell me, how did you come to this perspective?
is through enduring hardship and difficulty and discomfort. When I left, I had about $40 to my name. My parents were separated, I think, when I was a young teenager. Alcohol, I would say, probably the biggest thing there. Daily alcohol was probably one of the biggest things. So
Paul, I am super impressed with you because somebody forwarded me your videos that were on Instagram, and I started scrolling through. Right, it's very, very consumable. Right, it's like binge worthy type of Instagram channel, and I love your perspective. And then as I'm scrolling, I realized you're 21 years old.
yes.
So tell me, how did you come to this perspective? Because it's a very mature, nuanced, enlightened, intuitive type of knowledge, right? That you don't necessarily gain from experience. And I'm really curious about this because I've very interested in how that works, right? Because sometimes you get these feelings. I get these feelings that I just know things, and I'm not really sure where they come from because I've never really experienced enough of in that particular theme to be able to say it as a fact. But I just know that something is not true, or something is true, or it's contrary to what we hear from family members, parents, and so on. How did you grow up?
I would say the biggest thing, Terry, would be suffering and adversity. I think the true ways that we grow and evolve in life is through enduring hardship and difficulty and discomfort and suffering. And when you're in the midst of pain or difficult events in your life, you don't see in that moment how it's going to be beneficial for you or how it's building you. But when you look back in hindsight, when all is said and done, I look back at these experiences that I've gone through, being incarcerated, being homeless, these things that have happened, but I wouldn't be who I am today had I not experienced this hardship and this difficulty. So I truly believe that the truest way that we evolve and grow is through overcoming difficulty and enduring hardship and coming out the other side stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before.
So tell me something about the hardships. Like how did that happen? How did that change you?
Yes. And so kind of probably the biggest thing when I started making these videos, I was homeless. And so when I first began putting out these daily videos, I began uploading consistently on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Before I became homeless, I was living with my mother in her apartment, and I was still making these daily uploads. Now, when I left, I had about $40 to my name, moved into my vehicle in the middle of winter in Michigan. And so it's from there that, everything kind of took off, you could say, but it was through a massive season of drought, of scarcity, of fear, of darkness, of enduring extreme temperature, weather conditions. Um, and so for about a month or so when I first became homeless, I could still drive my vehicle. I would still move, still go to the gym, do the things that I did. I would sleep in my car at night. And after a little bit of this, after a few weeks, I was pretty much completely broke, and I ran my car until I couldn't drive it anymore, and I had to be pulled over on the side of the road. and waited for a tow truck to come get me, and they towed me to my sleeping spot. And so from there, I spent about 3 months or so without any gas in my car whatsoever. So completely flat broke with cents to my name. And, I remember that the first day where I was 100% just rock bottom homeless, I could not go to the gym. I couldn't drive to the gym like I did. That was my routine that I had solidified long before I became homeless was daily workouts, a non-negotiable morning routine, fasting, things of this nature. I had a very solid self-discipline regimen. And so when I kind of hit that rock bottom, I remember the first day after I completed my morning routine, getting up well before the sun, go outside, complete my leg routine in the snow, bundled up, freezing cold, with a face mask and hoodies and all that, just doing my leg routine outside. And then after that, I would pack up all my stuff, and I walked about a mile in the cold and in the snow to a Meijer grocery store that opened at 6 a.m. And this is where I would spend my day performing these workouts. So I would simply work out multiple times a day in this grocery store, in the employee break room kind of cafe area in the corner of the store. And so just kind of a big open area with tables, with chairs where the employees could come to take breaks or people could stop and eat their food. Kind of just a open to the public kind of area, but just a big space in this grocery store is where I would spend my day in the winter when it was extremely cold outside. And so, but I remember the very first day that I walked to this grocery store, I was walking in the snow, and it was kind of like a sleet, kind of like a half snow, half rain kind of day. It was drizzly, but cold, but almost melting kind of snow. And I was walking down this path, kind of like this stretch of road, to this grocery store, kind of surrounded by a lot of trees on the side. I looked up and there was an eastern screech owl sitting on a branch. It's a small owl, and it was sitting on a branch about 5 feet above me, just staring at me. And it wasn't scared of me at all. I was, only about 5 feet away from it, just directly under it, and it was just sitting there watching me. And so I want to take out my phone that I have and take a picture of the screech owl because I thought it was so interesting. And then shortly after I took that picture and I continued walking, my phone stopped working. And so it must have gotten water damaged or something. But essentially, I lost my only source of social connection with anybody. So I had no internet, I had no Wi-Fi, no family, no friends. Nobody knew what happened to me. Nobody, was there to support me or comfort me. I couldn't even make my videos anymore, which I was doing every single day. Even when I had first become homeless, I could still drive. I was still making daily shorts in my car, filming myself, speaking on topics. And so, but essentially from that point, I went through about a 2 or 3 month period where there were no videos that were put out because I was in complete isolation with zero money, zero social connection, no internet, nothing. Every single day, all that I had was myself, my own body, and my own internal vibration, and cultivating a heightened frequency with physical exercise. And so spending my day in this grocery store performing multiple workouts in a fasted state with body weight and homemade weights using my backpack. And that's kind of where it took off. And so, a very long season of drought and scarcity and fear with essentially complete isolation. And so, I'd say that's really where things took off is when I was put at that pretty much complete rock bottom point with absolutely nothing.
I can imagine that that was probably very, very difficult, especially early on, so early on in your life. But something I read a while ago was that, and I wanted to tell you this because I got that feeling from your content and your messages that the best healers in this world are ones that have endured extreme hardship. And that's ultimately what I believe is what connects us to our true source. When everything is stripped away, all the distractions are stripped away, you are literally at rock bottom and you come out of it. I think that that's ultimately where all of that empathy, all of that information is able to come through, because the things that you talk about are very real. They strike as extremely powerful lived experiences. And I think that type of message, I think everybody needs to hear, especially in today's society of instant gratification and all of this nonsense that's going on. I call it the clown show because it's all a distraction, right? It's a distraction from our inner being and from finding our own connection to ourselves. So tell me, how did this perspective, like, how did you cultivate that? Like, as time went on, how did you figure all this stuff out?
I think a very big component of it was the daily routine and the constant self-discipline process. And so before I'd become homeless, I was already very consistent on working out multiple times a day, solidified that morning routine. And I truly feel like experience is the greatest teacher to some degree, but also we learn from people who have been there and done that. And they are mentors along our journey. You know, as you mentioned, the people who have truly suffered and experienced extreme hardship have the greatest value oftentimes and the greatest wisdom to give to others. The greatest healers come from that. And, I would learn in my early journey, before I was truly really serious about this morning routine and workouts and whatnot, I would learn from mentors on YouTube. So other guys who had this mindset, who were self-disciplined, who were already, making a big impact, very successful, but they spoke about the importance of disciplining yourself, the physical training, the mindset training, establishing a non-negotiable routine that you abided by every single day in order to strengthen yourself and maintain an elevated vibration. So learning about frequency, vibration. Some of my greatest mentors that I could speak of right off the bat would be one of the very first spiritual teachers I discovered was Eckhart Tolle when I was incarcerated when I was 14 years old. An extremely dark place. I found one of his books. It was called A New Earth. And I found that in the library in the juvenile detention center in an extremely dark place. It was almost like I was kind of led to find that book because I was just so low within myself. And I found that book, and it was the first glimpse for me of finding something higher than this physical reality, than the ego, and tapping in with something higher than myself, with a greater source, with spirituality, with God, the universe, whatever you want to call that. And so he was a big mentor for me in getting me started on the spiritual journey. Now, as far as solidifying a routine and kind of that more physical training component of it, the morning routine, the kind of the yang side of it, if you will, I would say Wes Watson was one of my greatest mentors in helping me kind of solidify my own routine. And so the idea of having that non-negotiable morning routine every single day, he was probably one of the ones who laid that gem in me because I was already working out. I'd watched many guys about physical training, but for as far as that mindset and solidifying that morning routine and that non-negotiable strengthening, mental strengthening, physical strengthening process, I would give credit to Wes Watson for that. And so essentially, yeah, I mean, it's just finding these teachers, but also so these were some of the mentors that helped me in the beginning of my journey. But essentially, after I'd been working out consistently for several years, put on 50 plus pounds of muscle, being very, very skinny, out of shape for most of my life, and then solidifying this morning routine, I had been doing this for quite a while. So first living with my father for a period of time, then living with my mother. And then after I left my mother's house, it was kind of like I was left with nothing but that routine and that exercise and that daily process. So that was it. It was like universe source stripped me of everything else. No social connection. I fell off with all my friends. I no longer resonated with any of my family. No internet. Couldn't even make videos, which is what I was doing. I mean, I literally everything just got taken from me. And all that I had every single day was that non-negotiable routine, the early wake-up time with the immediate morning workout, 3 to 4 other workouts after that throughout the day, just constantly working out to maintain a heightened vibration and keep myself above that space of fear and darkness and scarcity that I essentially lived in every day. And the experience, like I said, was a big part of it because I had learned these things from some of these mentors early on. And then I began putting it into practice, while still living a normal life. To some degree, I was still going to school. I went to college for a short time, but then it got to a point where I had everything taken away from me. And that routine was the only thing that I had. It was it. That was the only thing that kept me out of that darkness, that kept me in that elevated vibration so I could vibrate above that fear and that scarcity and that darkness that I lived in every day. So, I mean, just every single day, waking up in that freezing cold car, just shivering. And then when the summer rolled around, I was still broke in the beginning of the summer in the exhausting heat and humidity, waking up drenched in sticky and sweat. Every single day, waking up between 1 and 4:30 a.m. every single day without any debate whatsoever. No sleeping in, no skipping days. Never skip this routine. Immediately out of bed. That non-negotiable routine. So 25 to 30-minute bodyweight explosive leg routine, kick drills, martial arts drills. That's how we start every single day. And then after that, multiple other workouts throughout the day with bodyweight or homemade weights. And in the wintertime, it was in this grocery store. After some time in the grocery store, after the weather warmed up, I would do it outside. And that's where I started making these daily videos outside. I got a little bit of support and I managed to get a few dollars. I used that little bit of money and got a very cheap phone, a Samsung Galaxy A03s with a very, low quality phone camera. And that's where I started picking up my daily videos again with this routine.
I think it's unfortunate what you went through, but I envision a very bright future for you. Like, I was literally talking about you yesterday, and I was saying, I mean, maybe that's even kind of shooting, in a limited way, but I was literally saying Paul is the next Tony Robbins. Because Tony Robbins has a very similar story, right? He experienced a lot of the very, very similar things that you're describing. And his connection to I call it the truth, so the universe, God, source, for me, it's the truth, right? And a lot of times the truth is really painful to look at. It's scary to admit, to acknowledge, to accept, but it's really necessary if any of us are going to evolve, I think, in the long term. So in terms of what happened with your mom and dad, is that something you can share?
Sure, absolutely. And so when I lived with my father for a period of time, I lived with him for a couple of years. My parents were separated, I think, when I was a young teenager. And so they lived in 2 separate houses. And so living with my dad for a period of time, it was, for lack of better words, just a very completely different habits, completely different lifestyles. I mean, and essentially I was working out multiple times a day. I had this morning routine solidified. So I would get up extremely early, perform this workout, do the things that I did every day. And, it got to a point where, it's almost like, here's the thing, Teresa, it's almost like when you truly begin to operate in a high vibration consistently, when you are embodying your greatest version and you're making consistent progress on improving yourself it's almost like, I've said this before in many of my videos, it's almost like you become like a light. And it's like your presence irritates the darkness in people who have not been putting in the work on themselves, who have habits that are, causing them to operate in a low vibration. It's essentially like
Give me some examples of those habits.
yes. And so you mean in terms of the low vibrational habits or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. And so Alcohol, I would say, probably the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing there. Daily alcohol was probably one of the biggest things. So, living with somebody who drinks consistently, I mean, that was probably one of the biggest things of all. Um, Very poor eating habits, very poor health, extremely out of shape. Um, you know, I have understanding and empathy for these individuals, for my father, for my mother, because they did the best they can. I would not be who I am today without them. And, but essentially, I think it's just a big part of it was kind of like he expected me to do what he did. And so he was a trucker for most of his life. So for many, many years, he worked this trucking company and essentially, so he would drive trucks, and essentially he lived chronically sleep deprived. And I think that when you are chronically sleep deprived, everything just goes down the drain. I mean, if you can't get enough sleep, it's harder to be on top of your fitness, your diet, your mind, your emotions, everything just goes downhill from there. And so essentially to me, he was kind of an example or an embodiment of somebody who, and I've made videos about this before, and for lack of better words, kind of like selling your soul for a job or to a 9 to 5. I mean, you show up and the money is number one. I'm going to do this thing every day to get money, but everything else suffers as a byproduct of that. So my sleep, my health, my relationships, everything just goes down the drain, but I keep showing up to this 9 to 5 every day. And so, and essentially, so that's what he wanted me doing. And so I was trying to make videos. I began putting myself out there and creating videos. I was trying to work multiple 9 to 5s. And, and essentially, it was just kind of that it wasn't part of the divine plan. I would try certain things and try to do 12-hour factory shifts, working in concrete, these big, long, all-day concrete shifts outside in the winter, intense manual labor, things like this. I would try all these different jobs and be with them for a period of time. But, none of them were what I was meant to do. I knew I wasn't meant to just stay in some 9 to 5. And that's what he wanted me to do. His way was the way to do things. If you're going to live under my roof, you're going to be working 40 plus hours a week. I don't care that you're working out every day. I don't care that you have this morning routine, the things you're doing. I don't do any of that. I don't care about it. You need to be doing what I'm doing or I've got a problem, right? And so essentially after a period of time of living with him, I separated myself. My mother got her own apartment. She was living with a boyfriend for a while, and then she moved and she got her own apartment, and she invited me to come live with her because she understands the situation with my father and how things were just, it was extremely, extremely difficult. I mean, there's a lot of things that went down there. Essentially, he would get intoxicated and try to fight me, and then he would call the cops on me from blah, blah, blah. I mean, just a whole lot of drama, very difficult. But, like I said, all the love to him because he truly, like I said, I wouldn't be who I am without him. And so moving in with my mother, essentially it was well for a while. I had this routine. I continued to do what I did every day, putting myself out there. She was a bit more understanding. And my father, he's not in tune with anything spiritual whatsoever. I mean, there's zero anything to do with a higher power there. Everything is very surface level, the conversation, the mindset, everything is surface level. Nothing goes deeper, nothing's about intuition or, a higher source or anything like that. There was none of that with my dad. And so with my mom, she's kind of in tune with some of that. And spending time with my mother. And so making daily videos, having this routine, she kind of had some leniency towards me not, constantly being occupied with a 9 to 5 because I was trying to, what I knew I was being called to do, Teresa, was to put myself out there and, help other people in the same ways that I've helped myself. And so putting out these daily videos. And so with my mother, it was good for a while. And it got to a point where it was almost like, it's almost like she kind of started to resent me a little bit, or she had she didn't feel good about me in the sense of living under her roof. It was very interesting. It's kind of hard to explain, kind of like a kind of like a power or authority thing. Like you were essentially, and it makes sense. You're living under my roof, and so, but you're not making consistent income from making these videos that you're trying to do, and so essentially, it got to a point where she would essentially talk about me to everybody. So she would speak very negatively about what I was doing, the videos I was making. She would tell all her friends, and it was something that I'm very, you could say, sensitive to energy. It was like when I got around her, I could just feel how she had been conducting herself or speaking about me when I wasn't around. I mean, I could just, and it got to a point where essentially I was making these videos, and one day I came to her in her bedroom. I was in a very loving and a very peaceful space within myself, and I just simply I just asked her, like, Mom, I know you've been talking about me, like, I feel like you have these things to hide. And as soon as I said that, it's her entire face just shifted. It's almost like a dark entity took her over and she went completely unconscious. It's what, if you know anything about Eckhart Tolle, it's what Eckhart Tolle might call the pain body. It's essentially she went completely unconscious because as soon as I said that, it's like she was in my face, screaming at me, dodging all accountability, projecting, you're doing this, you're doing that. And it's like just destroying my peace, coming in my room, throwing my stuff around, saying, you need to get out. I'm going to call the cops if you don't get out, get out of my house, get out of my house. And, and she was just in my face saying, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you. And I said, Mom, I love you. Like, what's going on? She said, you don't love me. You might love things, but you certainly don't love me. And it was so interesting. It was literally just projection, projection, projection. Everything she was telling me was exactly what she was doing. But it's like people who, Wes Watson, he was one of my greatest mentors. He said, those who don't reflect project. When you don't truly take time to be with yourself and process the things that you're experiencing, you project your own internal reality onto everything and everybody else. And it's like, but the thing is, like, these people, my mother was one of them, they genuinely believe their own lies. Like, she genuinely believed that what she was telling me and what she was projecting onto me was truly me. And so you could not convince her otherwise that, and it was just, and so essentially got to a point where she was destroying my peace and putting me in my face, and I had to leave, and it was causing me so much pain and suffering that I had to remove myself. And so I started packing up all my stuff. And she did come to me one time to apologize and say, yeah, I'm sorry for that. But it was like, it happened so many times. It was at a point where it's just an apology doesn't change anything. And I just knew I was being called to leave. I mean, because it was when I was truly starting to put myself out there, making daily videos, solidified this routine. And it was almost like that presence. It's very difficult to really truly put it into words unless you were there. But it's like just operating in that high vibration, that state of love, and doing what I was doing. When I came to her to confront her about the way she had been talking about me and, the ill things she had been speaking over me and what I was doing, it's like she felt just complete, it's almost like a blackout, like zero accountability. Just nope, no accountability. You're doing this, you, it's everything. All of a sudden, everything's just coming at you. You're doing this wrong, you're doing this, you're doing it, and just saying the most crazy things. And I'm like, and so essentially, Teresa, so that's what happened with both my parents. So essentially, I could not resonate with any of them anymore. I wasn't doing the things they were doing. I wasn't about what they were about. We didn't have the same mindset, the same lifestyles, the same habits. And so I had to remove myself. And that was all part of the plan. That was what it was meant to be, And even these bad things or so-called bad things that happen, it all happens for a reason at the end of the day. I mean, if you could say, if she wasn't, we weren't creating this kind of conflict, it wouldn't have given me the incentive to know within myself, I got to get out of here. I need to leave. I mean, it was at a point where it was undeniable. I had to leave because, and so that's essentially what it was. And so just no, I think that one of the biggest prices that you pay, and one of my mentors said this too. He said, elevation requires isolation. Like when you're truly serious about improving yourself and answering that call, you're not going to fit in with society's standards, what the school is telling you to do, what your parents are telling you to do, what your friends think you should be doing. They all think you should be doing this, kind of the average. You need to go to college, go to get a 9 to 5, do the things that everyone else is doing, but you're being called to do something different. When you choose to answer that call and you do that, you're not going to resonate with the masses. Many, many people are going to think you're crazy and that you're weird and not support you. And you just don't get it. You don't have it figured out. You're trying to do this weird thing on the side. What is these videos you're making? That's not doing anything. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. And so just, no resonation. We no longer resonate, Teresa. And so that's why I had to remove myself. And everything happens for a reason, though. And I'm grateful for everything, nevertheless.
Okay, friends, I am going to hijack this awesome episode and tell you about Thor, my personal love project. Thor is an extraordinary, private 50-acre mountaintop wellness retreat center nestled in the breathtaking backdrops of the Smoky Mountains and the National Cherokee Forest. If you're looking to unwind and recharge from daily stress, to feel better, to experience inner peace, and to feel alive again, Thor offers an all-inclusive experience, and it is truly my favorite and most magical place on earth. The energy there is like nothing I've experienced before. It gives me butterflies just to talk about it. When you visit us at Thor, you'll be embraced by virgin forests, crisp mountain air, and abundant wildlife as we start each day with sunrise yoga with Laura, beautiful hikes with me, local excursions, fitness classes, personal training, restorative yoga with Karen, educational workshops covering topics such as nutrition, various health modalities, emotional eating, and growth mindset. You'll also enjoy rejuvenating massage therapy, spa treatments, nourishing whole food cooked by our amazing chef, Robin. Shout out to Robin. Glamorous photo shoot opportunities like our fly dress experience, all the while connecting with other like-minded people on the same journey. Most of the individuals that come to our retreats end up being friends afterwards. Isn't that amazing? And the best part, we'll get to spend time together. Because at Thor, we love giving people the powerful energy, the undeniable magic, and the right tools to live a healthier and more balanced life. So visit us at www.thehouseofrose.com to see available retreat dates, or you can host your own private retreat. Can't wait to see you at the magical Thor Mountain. Now let's get back to this mind-blowing episode. You know, what the story that you told me is an example of the fact that you did not betray yourself, right? So you felt your calling, you felt your purpose, and you follow that without betraying your soul in terms of bending into the pressure, right? Because a lot of us, and most of us, especially nowadays, have tremendous pressure to follow societal rules. But at the end of the day, you know, I always ask, you know, who made that rule? Who said so? How do I know that what you're telling me to do is the thing that I should be doing? And I'll tell you a story. So I was born in Eastern Europe during communism. I left with my mother and my stepfather. My mother had divorced my father at 3 years old because he was a very abusive alcoholic. And so my stepfather and my mother left Bulgaria, which at that time was communist. I lived in a refugee camp for 2 years in Austria, waiting to come to the United States. And then when I was here, as if you can imagine, it was a very difficult time. And And if you're any type of an immigrant, especially first, not even first generation, literally off the boat, everything is about money. Everything is about getting a job. Everything is about keeping a job. Everything is about, forget about your purpose. There's no such thing. Like, nobody ever told me, like, oh yeah, follow your dream. There was no such thing, right? So if I had come up with some kind of an idea of like, well, I want to do XYZ because I feel like that's my purpose, I would have probably gotten beaten on a daily basis, right? So, so I just followed that path. And everything I did was for 9 to 5. How do I make an income? How do I do this? How do I support people? How do I? And I was just in that hamster wheel until I was about 40 years old. And when I hit 40, I found myself obese. So to give you an idea, 5'3" at 210 pounds. I was having heart palpitations. I went to the hospital twice because I thought I was having heart attacks. Ovarian cysts, pre-diabetic, like everything just broke all at the same time. And I was in this place where I was like, I'm dying. I'm killing myself to earn a living. Why? I mean, is that what life is all about? And I talk about you now because, like, man, like I wish I knew that when I was 21, right? I wish I knew what it actually felt like to live your truth, to live your purpose. And would it have been difficult? Yeah, I'm sure that would have been very difficult. But is regret not worse? Right? Not taking that risk, not taking that chance of being who you truly are, not a bigger downfall? So I admire you for that. So something that you talk about that I find fascinating is this thing about being soft, right? And I talk about, I observe that all the time. And one of my favorite things that I say to everybody is stay hard, stay hungry, stay humble. And what does that mean? Get tough, get mentally tough, because life is hard. Like, nobody promised us an easy life, right? Stay hungry is what it means to me is chase your dreams. Look for knowledge, look for mentors, look for coaches, look for people that are going to feed your soul. And stay humble is, never get comfortable enough that you get complacent. Tell me about your perspective, because I saw you talk about that, and I love what you said.
Yes, and so I even kind of created a terminology for it that I kind of came up with, soft syndrome. And so soft syndrome is very rampant out here. And essentially, we live in an age of comfort. And so we have more comfort, or things are easier than it's ever been. We don't have to go out and hunt for our food every day. We don't need to do the things that our ancestors did. I mean, you can choose essentially, for the most part, and a lot of, especially here in Western society, to stay sedentary and stare at screens all day and do nothing with your physical fitness. I mean, everything is a lot easier than it used to be. And here's the thing. It's the instant gratification and the indulging in the self-pleasure, the self-serving activities that make you feel good, in that kind of instant gratification that's just rampant in culture, that's creating individuals who are just plagued with insecurity, with mental health issues, depression, anxiety. I mean, so many of these issues are simply caused by your own lifestyle and your own habits. And a lot of people, they don't like to hear that. I mean, I get a lot of backlash when I tell people about how I cure depression and anxiety from within myself is with the routine and the self-discipline and the workouts, because, and people do not want to hear that. They want to believe that the cure for their how they feel if they're feeling depressed or anxious, it's going to be found in their comfort zone, doing what they feel like, and they're going to find it on the outside. A medication, relationships, somebody to give me that love that I'm not already cultivating from within myself. It's always, and so people are dependent on external things to try to derive their sense of joy or their sense of peace. And that's really, it's comfort, being comfortable and staying in your comfort zone and just having everything not difficult, not disciplining yourself, not willingly doing anything to strengthen yourself. It breeds scarcity mindset. It breeds a victim mentality. It breeds codependency on external things, on external pleasure. And that's what makes you soft, is being somebody who is dependent on external pleasure and you're not cultivating a high vibration or that joy or that true fulfillment from within yourself with those actions you take to strengthen and discipline yourself.
What do you think about social media addictions?
So social media, I mean, social media is a tool, and you can use social media. Obviously, social media is how I put my message out there, but I think a lot of it, mindless entertainment, mindless scrolling. I mean, being addicted to social media, it's almost like, and this is something that I even experienced sometime. It's almost like I remember one time I was on YouTube and I just saw a video. Somebody made a video. I can't remember who it was. I didn't even watch the video. It was literally just the title of the video and it resonated so hard. It's like he said, scrolling on social media is like smoking a cigarette. It's like a self-soothing thing. Like when you have this little device on you all the time, and anytime you're feeling bored or anxious or anything, you can just whip out your phone and you can be bombarded with so much stuff and information and entertainment on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, any of these platforms, and you can just scroll and just consume yourself with all of this, stuff. And that's what kind of breeds that social media addiction is, there's so much stuff out there and people get dependent on their devices and they derive pleasure from mindless entertainment, things like pornography, these kinds of things. I mean, they're detriments to so many people. And, so that's kind of my take on it. It's very, obviously very rampant because technology's taken off more than ever. Like I said, social media is a great tool, and but if you're not using it for the right purposes, if you're simply using it as a means to kind of self-soothe yourself or kind of escape reality or just kind of sit in your comfort zone, sitting and just staring at a screen, I mean, it creates a lot of issues. And I mean, just it's too comfortable. It's too easy just to whip out your phone whenever you feel anything or you just feel bored. Instead of just sitting with yourself and actually feeling how you feel, you can distract yourself with some external thing and just bombard your senses with all this stuff. And I think it's a big reason why a lot of people are soft and, they're not facing themselves because they can constantly distract themselves. And so they're addicted to social media.
How does one face themselves?
I think big part of facing yourself is removing all the extra stuff. And I mean, a big part of that is the social media, but also like even, you know, and like I said, that quote, Wes Watson, he said this, those who don't reflect project. And so, and I could even say this with my mother. I mean, it was a lot of, I think it's very common in today's day and age where people are dependent on external stimulus or external attention. And so they try to derive their sense of worth from getting attention from other people, whether they post a picture of themselves and they want to get likes. They want people to text them. They want, people want external attention. And so, they're not cultivating that true peace from within themselves or that true aliveness through the actions and the self-discipline. So people become dependent on external attention, external whatever, external validation. And so they never face themselves because they can constantly be online. They can, even like on Facebook, like just sharing random stuff or memes or like random posts. And I mean, it's just the kind of that constantly being on social media is one big part of it. But I mean, just not facing yourself is, you know, to truly face yourself is to be isolated, in my opinion. Like when I was incarcerated, when I went to juvenile detention, that forced me to sit with myself for the first, real time in my life where I was just like everyone else. I was soft. I was addicted to external pleasure and external attention and instant gratification and all that, as many kids, most kids are. I mean, it's just kind of, that's where society's headed right now. And it's kind of like, you know, it's through isolation. It's like, so many people, they can't just be with themselves. They can't be alone. They constantly need to be texting somebody, hanging out with somebody, getting some kind of attention, getting some kind of validation. So they never truly sit just with them. And, to truly be with yourself is to remove the distractions, the substances, whether it's alcohol or these external things that alter your consciousness, external entertainment, validation, even constantly feeling like you need to hang out with people and you need to be around people all the time. Like I can't just be with me because my own company, I don't like my own company. I need to be around people to give me that sense of worth and that sense of validation. So to truly be with yourself is to remove the distractions and, essentially take time to be isolated. This is something I've experienced is like your greatest growth will happen in isolation. I mean, that's when you truly have to dig deep because I had everything taken away from me, Teresa. No phone, no social media, no friends, no family, nothing. I had the absolute bare minimum. I had a set of clothes I could wear every day, worn out shoes. I had a vehicle with no gas that I could lay my head in. I had clean water, and I lived off of stolen natural peanut butter, black beans, lemons, and salt for months in a caloric deficit every day, fasting. And so it was just everything got taken away. And so it's in that isolation and being isolated and just being with you. That's what makes you face yourself. That's what forces you to look within and process the things within yourself that you're neglecting, that you haven't healed, that you need to work on. And I mean, that's where true growth will occur is when you are forced to truly be with yourself and look at yourself. And that happens when all the external distractions are minimized or reduced or cut out completely.
They say that if you don't tell the world who you are and stand up in your purpose and with your identity firmly rooted, the world is going to tell you. And I think that we are allowing everyone and everything else to define who we are. And that's why we're so lost. I think the art of being human is somehow gone. Like we don't even know who we are, what our purpose is, what we're here for. We've forgotten, right? And so we're looking for anything outside to give us purpose. But you know what I believe? Our purpose is to be. That's what I think. Our job, our only job for me, from my perspective, my humble opinion, is just being who you are is enough. That's your only purpose. And most of us have no idea, me included, who I was and what my purpose was until I found that being in service to others was the thing that lit me up, that made me feel alive, that gave me a purpose that was greater than anything I've ever experienced. And like once you get a taste of that, once you feel that, like really embody that energy, you can never go back. You can never. It's empty. The rest of the world becomes empty. And you lose all interest in that because the best thing is to be truly who you are and serve others with your gift. So talk to me about that negative energy. I call it the boogeyman. and it does hijack us, right? So it waits until we're vulnerable, when our ego activates. And Eckhart Tolle talks about that a lot. And another great book is The Power of Now. How does that work? Tell me, what does that feel like?
And so we all have a dark side, you could call it. You call it the boogeyman. There's many different ways you could refer to it: the shadow, the dark side, demons, you could call it so many things. And, it's an intrinsic part of all of who we are. And, one thing that I've found, Teresa, is that is truly oftentimes one of the greatest driving forces to improve yourself. And I mean, for me personally, Teresa, this is what I found for myself. There is a part of me there you could almost say maybe it's like a wounded child, or it stems from childhood trauma or whatnot. Growing up, I was always scared to come home from school. I was constantly getting yelled at, hit, screamed at. I was always in trouble for something. I mean, I just cried every day. I was always living in fear and feeling like I'm just a bad person. And there's this part of me, it's almost like it needs destruction. There is a part of me, and that is a big reason why that I work out the way that I do. I can't remember the last time I took a day off, Teresa. I mean, I work out multiple times a day because I need an outlet for that dark side. I need to channel that energy into positive pain, because what I've found is if I don't give that pain to myself through these workouts, through the self-discipline, if I don't break my muscles down, my own mind will break me down. My own negativity will eat me alive, and I will destroy myself with my own negativity. And that's the thing about it. I truly believe that dark side, it can absolutely destroy you, but it's your greatest gift when you learn to channel it and transmute it into activities that build you or even serve other people. And so it's very, it's necessary, I think, and it's something many people don't know how to control their dark side. It's like if you don't control it, if you don't learn how to channel it, it will control you and use you, and it will create destruction in your life and to the people around you. And so finding outlets and channels for that dark side, into the right activities that will build you, strengthen you, is very important. Finding effective means to channel and transmute that darkness, because when you take the right action, you can take all that darkness and transmute it into a higher vibration, into a stronger physical body. It's almost like, for me, what I found, Teresa, it's even like on days where I wake up and I'm extremely negative. Like if I'm, for whatever reason, I'm super negative, I'm not well rested, I'm, whatever, I'm just spent. It's like the workout, the biggest thing, the biggest way for me to transmute it is through the workout. The greater that darkness is, the greater that internal negativity is, the greater the potential you have to transmute it into something amazing. It's like it's the raw material for you to take and transmute into something beautiful, but it's done through the proper action and aligning yourself and aligning your energy and your actions with the right activities that can essentially, like, for example, with these workouts, I'm negative, I'm angry. I take that energy, and then with the workout, all that negativity, it's like once I'm, halfway done, 2/3 done with the workout, I'm vibrating so high. I'm so filled with joy and so much gratitude. It's like the more negative I was, but I chose to do that uncomfortable thing to build myself and transmute and channel that negativity, the greater the high, greater the mountain peak afterward. The deeper the valley, the greater the mountain peak, the higher that mountain peak will be when you transmute it and you use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that the shadow, the ego, the boogeyman, I joke around, I call it the boogeyman because it pops up when you least expect it, dresses up sometimes. It looks like it's, oh, this sounds like a good idea. Like, yeah, maybe yeah. It's very, very conniving, right? So what I like to say is the smarter my boogeyman is, or the smarter I am, the more smarter I think I am, my boogeyman is twice as smart. The more witty I think I am, my boogeyman is twice as witty. more mischievous. They're all, and it's very interesting, right? Because the other thing I feel like, the stronger your dark side is, it goes in reverse, right? The stronger you truly are. You just don't know it yet. So every time you meet that negative self-talk, you face it, you make friends with it, you acknowledge it, you say, hey, because it is a part of us. It's most likely our inner child. Most likely it is our ego trying to protect us, because it's afraid. It doesn't want the past to repeat. So whenever it sees us heading in a particular path, it tries to kind of control and contain us. The more you make friends with it, the better your life becomes. And then you kind of operate together. So now imagine the power of your negative side and the power of your positive side coming together as one. It's limitless.
Yes. And I like that, Teresa, because it's kind of like you said, and I like how you said it's intelligent, you could say it. It's witty, it's smart. It's almost like, there's other perspectives you could look at it. You could almost, some might call it even spiritual warfare. It's like sometimes what I notice, Teresa, it's like, and I've even made videos about this, I might refer to it as like the demons or something like that. It's like the demons, you might say, they know when you're about to do something that's going to bring up your vibration or benefit you or help somebody. And so they're going to start going in. They're going to come down hard on you when they know you're about to do something that's important for you or for somebody else. They're going to start getting loud. They're going to start coming down extra hard. And that's the thing, it's really the negativity. Like when I'm extremely negative, or I like, even this morning, Teresa, I was up at 125. I completed the leg routine. I was extremely tired, did not want to get out of bed. And just but it's like when I know that when I'm feeling negative or I'm feeling angry, it's almost like I'm going to show myself. It's almost like, watch me. Something in me is almost like, watch me. It's like, I look at it almost like entities, little entities, unseen entities. They're trying to stop me from doing what they know is going to earn me that high vibration. They don't want me to do this workout. They don't want me to get out of bed. They don't want me to make that video. That's why that negative self-talk just starts trying to stop me and prevent me from doing it. And so, like I like how you said that, Teresa. It's smart. It knows how to try to hinder you or stop you, and it really is just in kind of an intelligent entity or side of yourself or energy, whatever you want to call it. But essentially, it's just transmuting and channeling that energy. And that's where I think a really big part of it is having that non-negotiable process, because it's kind of like the fallback. When I make the early wake up, the morning routine, the multiple workouts, it's not up for debate. It doesn't matter how I feel. When I was flat broken homeless, when I had salmonella after I ate some undercooked eggs, I was extremely sick and feverish. Never skipped the routine, still working out multiple times a day, making videos. It's like the greater that pain and that darkness and that negativity or that suffering is, but you choose to take the action that you know is best for you anyway, the greater the reward will be later on. The greater you'll be instilled with a high vibration. And it's almost like I see it as like a reward. It's like when you do what you're being called to do, you know what's best for you. You know if you need to stop drinking. You know if you should be working out. You know if you shouldn't be eating that bad food and you should be, making healthier choices. When you choose to do it, no matter how much that ego, those demons, that dark side doesn't want you to do it, the greater the reward will be. And I mean, even like when it comes to videos, like I even see being able to make videos is like a gift because it's through that. Because before every single video, I do a workout that I do not feel like doing. Every single one of the daily videos that I put up on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, I do a workout immediately beforehand. It's usually my third workout of the day, and I never feel like doing it. But it's just like the more, even when I had salmonella or when I was homeless, it's like the greater the adversity is, whether it's internal or external, but you do it anyway, it's like you are just rewarded, whether it's on an energetic level, even if it's not on the outside, you're rewarded with joy, you're rewarded with peace, you're rewarded with fulfillment and confidence and just an abundance energy when you take that action anywhere. Or it's external, you're, rewarded with some kind of external reward or, financial something or anything on the outside, support, whatever it is, you get to become a conduit to make a video or channel or transmute some kind of message. And, you know, to me, that's the greatest thing. Like you said, Teresa, it's the service, it's the selfless service in helping other people that truly brings the most fulfillment. I think the way we help other people best is by enduring and transmuting that suffering and that darkness and that pain every single day and teaching others to do the same in the same ways that we've healed ourselves.
Absolutely. And something I'll add to that is I read the other day that, and this is absolutely fascinating. I watched a YouTube video. I have no idea how I found it. I have no idea. I wasn't searching for it. It just showed up in my feed, right? Kind of similar like how I found you. And I couldn't stop consuming this content. It was by Dr. Rob Kelly. And so what he said, he was an alcohol addiction treatment center. He runs one, I believe, from Texas. And what he said is when he starts treatment for alcoholism, for real alcoholics, by the time they're done, and it could take a while, their DNA changes. So think about that, right? They have a certain DNA that they're predisposed to alcoholism. And after a certain period of time of going through mindset, neuro retraining of the neural pathways, right? Not specifically for alcohol withdrawal, but a complete reprogramming of their minds, their DNA on a scientific basis is not the same, right? So the way that I look at a lot of these things that you talk about, the hardships, the non-negotiables, pushing your body beyond limits, doing the hard things, experiencing really difficult things very early on in your case, you're changing your DNA. You're becoming a different person. Literally, physically, you're becoming a different person, which I find to be fascinating because a lot of times I'll look back and, I lost 80 pounds in the last couple of years. And I look at myself and I'm like, I don't feel the same way. I don't think the same way. I don't look the same. Like all of it. I feel like every cell in my body has changed to be birthed from joy and life and light and positivity rather than allowing the negative energy to control me. And that's the energy that will course through my body, through my cells on a molecular level. So I found that to be really fascinating. It just blew my mind when I heard it. I was like, wow, that's what we're doing.
I love that. I love that. I think a really big component of it is very true because, rewiring your brain, I mean, even just with your habits, your lifestyle, I mean, your habits truly shape everything. I mean, what you put in your mouth, what you eat, what you consume with your eyes, with your ears, the people that you surround yourself with. I mean, it truly does affect your physiology, your brain. I mean, everything is influenced by those daily actions and habits. And so if you align those daily actions and habits, that non-negotiable routine, you do what you know is best for you to improve you, your mind, your body, your health, your vibration. You truly do change who you are from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, what would you tell someone that's going through a difficult time and they don't know where to start? Like, how do you get out of that? Or how do you keep your mind in a place that will help you get out of it?
Well, for me, Teresa, I think the greatest gift, if you have a physical body that you can move, you have the health and you have the privilege and the gift of being able to exercise, that will solve 99% of your internal and even external problems because everything starts from within. I mean, I'll tell you that first day, I remember the first day when I went to the Meyer grocery store that opened at 6 a.m. after I just got there, my phone stopped working, so no internet, I couldn't make videos, and I'm standing in this Meyer. I woke up in my car this morning, walked to the store in the cold, and I'm standing there in this employee break room area, this kind of cafe area. And just so lost. Like, what do I do? Here I am. I have no money, no family, no friends, no social connection, no nothing. Nobody knows what happened to me. Here I am in this. It's like, what do I do? And I remember that first day, what I started doing, and it's like I'm just standing there, and there's people walking by with their carts. I'm standing with this guy with this backpack. I'm just standing there in this little, cafe area, and I just want to cry. Just pain just keeps on coming up. I gotta keep choking it down. Like I just feel so lost, and I have no idea what to do. And I just remember I just got down on that floor, on that dirty ass floor, and I started doing burpees, 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 explosive burpees. I just started destroying burpees right there in the mire and just whole time just choking down fear, choking down pain, tears. And I mean, you know, and just in the middle of that, I remember in the middle of it all, in the middle of doing these burpees, breathing heavy between sets, it's almost like when you earn that elevated vibration with the physical training, you get uncomfortable. And it's extremely uncomfortable. It's not just the fact that I'm doing a workout. Most people just doing a workout in the comfort of their own home is a challenge for them. With other in a freaking grocery store with people walking by with their carts, like, what is this guy doing? Just working out in the grocery store, watching me do burpees. I mean, it's almost embarrassing in a sense. And it's like, but you just all I had was right here, right now. This work, I have nothing on the outside. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. I'm completely lost. I'm just filled with fear and pain and scarcity and darkness. I just hit that floor and started working out. I did the only thing that I knew because even before being homeless, I was essentially just isolated in a bedroom by myself. And and so I'd already kind of solidified this, but that physical exercise is what brings up the vibration. That's what instills that heightened frequency within you. And as I'm in the middle of sets, I just remember this little voice in my mind, like, this is part of the story. This is part of the story. This is part of the story. And it's like in those brief moments when you're in that elevated vibration, it's like you pull yourself out of that narrow tunnel vision, just looking at all the scarcity and you just don't see what's going on. It's like you vibrate above that and you see things from a higher perspective, from a bird's eye view, and you see and you realize and you know within yourself that everything is working out exactly as it's meant to. And so the physical exercise, I mean,
Ooh, that gave me
physical exercise.
chills.
Yes, and because
Mm.
a big thing is inactivity or being stagnant breeds doubt, it breeds fear, it breeds depression, it breeds anxiety. If you're just sitting and you're just sitting there with your mind, it's like to get out of your head, you have to get into your body. And so if you are able, if you have the blessing and the privilege of being able to use your physical body and you can exercise, that is the surest way to earn an elevated vibration. And when you're in that heightened frequency, your mindset flips, the way you feel flips, your perspective on your life and on yourself flips. I mean, everything just is better, is amplified because it all comes from within you. You can have absolutely nothing on the outside and still be rich and abundant and joyful and grateful and exuberant from within yourself if you are operating in a high vibration that's earned as a byproduct of the actions you take to best serve other people or build yourself, which essentially all does come down to service. If you are exercising in taking care of your physical body, you are helping people just by operating in a high vibration, just by being the best you are helping people. Even if you're not doing anything directly to anybody, just by getting down on the floor, busting out that workout, bringing up your vibration, strengthening and bettering you, you are uplifting the collective vibration because we're all connected. We are all one on an energetic level. And so when you as an individual take the steps to align yourself with the heightened vibration, you are helping other people. And so essentially, it all comes down to helping another person or helping other people. And you can do that without anybody, without directly interacting with anybody, without making a video, by exercising and just being in a high vibration. You are part of the solution. You are uplifting the collective energy field, and that's what instills you with that joy and that peace and that freedom from that dark place, that negativity, that depression, that anxiety. Physical exercise, I think, is like the foundation for everything when it comes to earning that peace and that positivity from within.
I couldn't agree more with you because I've lived through such a transformation, and it always blows my mind that it's like, you know, I'm working out and my garage is like 38 degrees. I don't have a heater, and I'll just do my workouts in my garage in the cold, in the hot. It doesn't matter. It's become part of the thing I look forward to now because I've noticed, your body adapts. So it's interesting, and it resonates with people, right? So it's like, here I am. I'm just trying to be as healthy as I possibly can. And that resonates with people if I'm brave enough to put it out there. If I'm brave enough to put out the fact that I'm an addict, right? I come from a hereditary line of addiction for alcoholism. I can get addicted to food, sugar, whatever. If I'm brave enough to admit all of these things, and, there's mental illness in my family, all these things, I would have been mortified back in the day to do that. And now I'm like, well, this is the truth. This is who I am. I'm not putting on a front of being someone else. This is me. And it resonates, and it helps people not feel like they're alone. And it helps somehow. I'm still completely shocked by this, but that's what I hear. And I'm like, wow. I mean, isn't that amazing? So, Paul, what is next for you?
To me, it's just simply a matter of being in tune with that moment by moment, day by day guidance of what I'm being called to do. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. That's something that I learned when I was homeless and I was working out in that grocery store with absolutely nothing. It's not about me. It's not about me and serving me and what I want. The only thing that will fulfill me is being of service to other people because that's why we're here. And, kind of piggybacking on what we spoke about, the depression, the anxiety. If you are always serving you and you're not doing what's necessary to make you the best you are not going to reap that internal state of joy and peace when it's all about you and self-serving and pleasure and instant gratification. And so it's just being in tune with that guidance, Teresa, and just serving others, doing what I'm being called to do, maintaining that elevated vibration with the routine that I know works, the exercise that I've done every single day. I mean, this is what keeps me in tune with that source and simply allows me to be used as a conduit or as simply a vessel to carry out a greater purpose because that's really all I see myself as. I'm not some special person. I'm simply just aligning myself with something greater so it can be used through me and channel through this vessel. By aligning this vessel with its greatest potential, I can be a conduit and serve something higher than myself to uplift other people. And so just continuing to serve at a higher and higher level and doing everything in my power, making all the sacrifices that are necessary to best uplift and serve humanity. That's all that matters.
I think that's a very noble purpose. So tell me, so do you coach people? Are you taking on new clients? How does that work?
Yeah, so essentially what I'm doing right now is one-to-one coaching. And so, most days I have calls back to back to back to back and just one-on-one coaching calls, delivering workout programs, self-discipline regimens and routines, nutrition, and even just one-to-one calls. If you need help with anything, I mean, you can simply schedule a call with me and that's your time to ask any questions, anything you need help with. It's just, serve and bring value in any way that I can. But one-to-one coaching is the main thing that I'm focusing on, all virtual, all online, delivering programs, uh, workout programs, self-discipline regimens and routines. I call it the Mind and Body Mastery Program, strengthening the mind, the body, earning a heightened vibration, just helping people transform their confidence, their self-worth, their inner well-being, and just helping them overall align themselves with their greatest version. So one-to-one coaching is what I do.
I love it. I love it. So everybody needs to go follow Paul Bryson on Instagram. And what is your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Paul Bryson. So first and last name, the actual username is Paul Bryson 8888.
Amazing. Fantastic conversation, Paul. I really appreciate your time. I think my prediction is that you are going to take the world on by storm. And I think we need that. I think we need your perspective. And I think that every generation needs to be reminded constantly as we progress into this world of AI, world of comfort, world of discipline. I think we need to scream this louder and louder and louder. And as many people need to hear your message as possible. So keep doing it. I think it's helping millions of people.
Thank you, Teresa. And I really enjoyed our conversation today. And I can tell that you have weathered your storms and that you are simply here in the same way that I am to simply uplift and serve other humans. And my utmost respect and gratitude goes to you. And thank you for having me. Absolute honor and a privilege to be able to speak with you today, Teresa.
Honor and privilege is mine, Paul. I think you're going to be magnificent. You already are. Just more people need to know about you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any comments or feedback, please leave it in the comments section. You can find more episodes on all platforms and on our website, thehouseofrose.com. How Good Can It Get podcast is powered and produced by Social Fix Media. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.
Yeah.